You want a perfect, fancy luxury, this, that, and whatever. Yeah, maybe Serbia is not the best for you. You want to just live normal, you know, have a nice, chill life. I don't know what more I could want.
Meet Julian. He is from Canada, but he moved to Serbia when he was 17, and now he has been living here for 5 years. He took me for a walk through the small Serbian city of Sremska Mitrovica and shared whether Serbia is a paradise for foreigners, why life in a small city in Serbia is better than in the capital, and what the cheapest place to eat out in Serbia is. Enjoy!
Serbia is such a great place to be because you can travel and see so much in so little time, whereas I mean, you want to do, my boss, for example, last year, he did a road trip across Canada. I mean, if you know Canada, how big it is, I think that's like 45 hours of driving. You could drive from like Lisbon to Moscow in that time. So how many countries are you going through to do that versus Canada? Not even one border crossing. For me, this region is really, really good for living. And it's so close to everywhere else if you do want to travel that, you know, it's all good. Like we're going to Greece in a couple weeks and it's a 7-hour drive. That's nothing. If you drive for 7 hours in Canada, it looks literally the exact same in any direction except south. Then you're in America and it still looks the exact same. I've been through most of Europe. The most beautiful place in Europe for me is the Reka Drina, like Peručac jezero, kind of that area, Tara. Oh my God, it's beautiful. What can I say about Sremska Mitrovica? It's a nice little city. For life, it's got, you know, everything that you need and more. It's nice, it's nice. You have some good restaurants. Some of the better restaurants are kind of out along the edges. One that's now called Santa, if you're here, I recommend that. Really, really good place, and it's a hotel. But even here in the center, you have like XL Pizzeria, you have a whole bunch of things. And this place, oh, for any foreigner who comes here, I mean, they have these everywhere, it's a chain. I call it like the McDonald's of Serbia just because it's like the fast, cheap option. It's so good. Look at that. Inflation does not touch skroz dobra pekara. 200 dinara, you can come here get like pljeskavica, limonada, pomfrit, I think like 250 dinara. The food prices here, since I've moved here, have at least doubled. But this place, they don't go up. If you want to eat for cheap, there is literally no better place. I used to live off of that when we were in Belgrade. They opened at like 5 in the morning. One time, my friend, Jaron, who is from Canada, he lived here for a while. Let's just say we were walking around Belgrade in like the middle of the night and we got lost. We had no idea where we were. We had no phone service. We left at 1 in the morning and we finally found a road at 5 in the morning and we see the lights of Skroz Dobra Pekara and it was like seeing God in front of you. It was amazing. We got there, had a feast, went back to the apartment and just slept. It's a nice little center. I was surprised because I think Sremska Mitrovica, the actual city, has 30 to 40,000 people living in it. And it's a beautiful center. And it's not very small at all. Maybe people here would say it's small, but go to a city in Canada with that many people and tell me what the center looks like. My city in Canada it's called Barrie, Ontario, if anyone's ever heard of it. I don't recommend it personally. There's 200,000 people there. The center is basically this street that's maybe 1.5, 2 kilometers long, a couple restaurants littered, and 1 million homeless people. There's no, you know, beautiful old architecture like this. And as you can see here, something that shocked me with Serbia specifically, crazy drunk people and visible drug addicts are almost non-existent. Wherever you go, not even to speak about Canada and America, but even in Europe, you know, I've been to, let's say, Hungary and Romania, for example, 2 countries that I love, but you can see just crazy people walking down the street and talking to themselves. Here, for whatever reason, you don't have that. You know, I lived in Belgrade for 2.5 years and I've maybe seen 3 or 4 people who I'm like, okay, I should probably steer clear, you know, walk on the other side of the street right now. Here, it's just, everyone's normal, you know, going on about their day. And that's the thing I like to say about life in Serbia is it's just, you want a perfect, fancy luxury, this, that, and whatever. Yeah, maybe Serbia is not the best for you. You want to just live normal, you know, have a nice, chill life. I don't know what more I could want. You know, obviously nowhere is perfect and there's a lot of issues here, but you got to come here, try it out, see what, you know, it's like to you. Whenever I talk to anyone who says something like, oh, you know, I just really want to go live in Canada, Germany, you name it, I find it interesting to ask them, have you ever been? And like 90% of the time, the answer is no for those people who are excited to go. Whereas whenever I talk to someone who has actually been to these places, they appreciate it here so much. And I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but I recommend to anybody here who's curious or anywhere in the world about life in another country, go there and try it, because either one, you'll love it and you found your new home. That's what happened to me here. Or two, you'll hate it and you'll go back home with a new appreciation for where you're from. So you literally cannot fail. Just stop complaining about your country. Go try to live somewhere else and see how it is. Because after that, there's no more complaining. You're either done complaining or you've left and you don't need to complain. That's one thing that, you know, I felt, and I think a lot of foreigners feel when they first come here. It's like, this place is paradise. This place is perfect. Serbia can do no wrong. It's amazing. You know, I guess you could call it the honeymoon phase. That's well worn off for me. There's a lot of things here I don't like. But still, like I said, when you do compare everything, what could you really want?
It's beautiful.
Let's see. This was the Wheat Market Square. You see this map, there's like all sorts of these different little sites.
So cool.
I think they have concerts here sometimes, actually. So this is something that I don't understand, and maybe this actually applies to you too, specifically for foreigners, but for literally anyone. Why do you live in Belgrade? Like, if you work in the center of Belgrade, I get it, 100%, because who wants to, you know, live the Canadian way and drive an hour and a half to work and back every day? So I get that, but the amount of people who I know who are like myself, let's say remote workers, and just live in the center of Belgrade and pay rent every month, I don't understand it. Like, I am not one to sit there and, you know, tell anyone that they're spending their money in a good or bad way, but you need to think about it. When we lived in Belgrade, we paid 750 euros a month rent, which you'd probably be very jealous of right now, because that was a 130 meter, 2-floor apartment in the center. What's it looking like these days?
It's, yeah, I think it's about 2,000.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. That same apartment would be 2,000. But even still, forget the 2,000. If you're spending 750 euros a month, you need to understand, why are you even doing that? Like, what are you getting for that money? For us, pretty much nothing. Glovo and Volt, that's what we were getting for 750 euros a month. But now, even in Mitrovica, you have, I think, both Glovo and Volt. We like to go to the malls in Belgrade, which, by the way, shocked me. The malls in Belgrade are at least 5 times better than the malls in Toronto, and there's more of them. Especially if you're not looking to spend, you know, buying designer stuff and whatever. So we used to always love to go and do that, and we still do. But we're a 45-minute drive away, so why do you know how much gas I can get with 750 euros? I mean, not that much, because Serbia has one of the most expensive gas prices, but enough to go to Belgrade and back at least a couple times, that's for sure. I mean, we were looking, saying, why are we paying this much in rent? Why would we do that? When we calculated it, looked at the prices of houses and went, if we pay rent for, I think it was like 3 years, we could literally buy a house outright. So what's the point? I still don't understand people wanting to do that. Again, exception if you work in the center of Belgrade. I don't understand this. People buy an apartment in Sremska Mitrovica. I think if you want a nice, like, 1-2 bedroom apartment in the center, that's gonna set you back about 80,000 euros. But you can buy 10 minutes away, or even less, a house in a village with a lot of land for that money. For half of that money, even, if you wanna, you know, spend money on renovating it. What is that? If you told, let's say you work in Mitrovica and you live there, your commute to work is 10 minutes. If you told a Canadian that your commute to work was 10 minutes, they would be so jealous of you. But here, it's like, driving 10 minutes every day, why would I do that when I can live in an apartment? And, you know, if it was the same price, then I could kind of understand that. But like, for the price of half of an apartment, I have a house, I have like 2,700 meters of land, and in the cello is absolutely everything that I need.
How's the internet in the village?
I had 250 megabytes per second. The fastest internet I've ever had in my life in the village, if you can believe that. And I pay for that, I think 5,000 dinars a month. You could get smaller packages that are much cheaper, but if you work online, every second you wait for something to load is costing you money. So get the good package. It's not worth it to save 1,000 dinars a month. Get the good internet. Finding a house in Serbia is often not the easiest thing. If you want, you know, a new modern apartment, yes, you can find that. If you want a house, often you're gonna find ones that are literally there to be torn down. And that, also I just realized we're right in front of a police station here. Sometimes they get mad at me if I film here. To find a house that's in good condition and just needs some, you know, renovations, sometimes can be a little bit hard for a good price. So we found one in this village, went, okay, this is a nice location, nice village, seems to be active, because one issue with a lot of villages in Serbia is they're just dead. There's nobody there, and you know, it doesn't matter how cheap your life is. It's kind of depressing to wake up every day and just every house is abandoned, you don't see anyone. So our village is not like that, which is excellent. So that was it. Found a house, went, yeah, all right, that's good enough, and we stayed there. Now I love it.